is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
I got to give it to him, Bud. The best, right? He's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes, what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people said.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. I've only won 1 of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith called out Floyd Mayweather for trying to downplay Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez. Smith made it clear that what Crawford achieved was historic, reminding everyone that no fighter has ever become undisputed champion in multiple weight classes the way Crawford has. He stressed that Crawford's legacy was earned through hard work and deserves nothing but respect and praise. For Smith, the win over Canelo wasn't just another victory, it was a defining moment that secured Crawford's place among the all-time greats. He added that Mayweather's criticism can't take away from what Crawford has accomplished.
The best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds. Claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather didn't hold back when talking about the shock Terence Crawford delivered to Canelo Alvarez. He explained that this loss will always leave a mark on Canelo's legacy. For years, Canelo was seen as the undisputed king of his division, dominating nearly everyone he faced. But Crawford, moving up in weight, came into Canelo's territory and handed him a humbling defeat. Jeff stressed this wasn't just a minor setback, it's a permanent stain that will follow Canelo throughout boxing history. He added that champions are remembered for defining moments, and unfortunately for Canelo, his defining moment may now be this crushing loss to Crawford.
He was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on him because even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. And Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Stephen A. Smith was blown away by Terence Crawford's victory and made sure everyone knew it. He said being there in person made the moment even more powerful for him. In Smith's eyes, no one in boxing history has ever done what Crawford just pulled off, moving up in weight and beating a dominant champion like Canelo Alvarez so convincingly. He called it a career-defining win that sets Crawford apart from the rest and guarantees this night a permanent place in boxing history. For Smith, this wasn't just another big fight, it was a turning point in how true greatness is measured in the sport.
Was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because we only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division, so he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
After the fight, Terence Crawford's trainer made it clear that his fighter has nothing left to prove. In his eyes, Crawford has reached a level where his respect should be unquestioned. Still, some critics continue to hold back, which only highlights how Crawford's toughest battles sometimes happen outside the ring. His trainer stressed that Crawford isn't even thinking about his next opponent right now. What he accomplished against Canelo is more than enough to secure his place among the greats. For Crawford, it's no longer about chasing names. It's about leaving behind a legacy that nobody can deny.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
Timothy Bradley delivered one of the boldest takes after Crawford's win, directly comparing him to Floyd Mayweather. Bradley argued that Crawford's name now deserves to be at the very top of any greatest of all time discussion. For him, this wasn't just about Crawford beating Canelo, it was about redefining what it truly means to be pound for pound number one. He explained that while Mayweather perfected the craft in his era, Crawford proved he could do it on an even greater level by defeating Canelo at his peak. In Bradley's view, this victory pushed Crawford into a class reserved only for the sport's absolute legends.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it. That's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. gave a thoughtful take, noting the key difference between Mayweather's win over Canelo and Crawford's. He explained that when Floyd beat Canelo, Alvarez was still young and not yet in his prime. Floyd's experience and ring IQ allowed him to control that fight. But Crawford's challenge was much tougher. He faced a fully seasoned Canelo, the same fighter who had ruled his division for years. Even though Crawford was naturally smaller, he still managed to break Canelo down. For Roy, that makes Crawford's victory extraordinary, because he defeated a version of Canelo who was stronger, wiser, and at his absolute best.
Great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think it's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
That feeling, do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable, and Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset.